Hey y'all, we are back. We're back to talk more about Love Island USA episode 3. Let us go ahead and get into it. This was a pretty decent episode. Not as fiery as the first one. However, this was the episode that Huda decides to let Jeremiah know that she is a mom. Now we're gonna go ahead and start at the top of the episode where I took a few notes about a few things. You guys know that Nick was snatched away from Bella. He was chosen by Sierra for her to be with, and I have to say I actually like their vibe the best. To me, I think that Nick and Sierra made a better choice and actually make a better couple at this particular time. But y'all let me know your thoughts about it. When it comes to Nick, he does tell the guys, that he doesn't really want to hurt anybody, but at the same time, this is his experience as well. And he's not wrong when he says that, right? But let's get to Ace and Jeremiah because their situation is very interesting. And I see a beef brewing. Okay, I don't know if Ace is gonna be ready to knuck if you buck once Jeremiah finally has it up to here. All right, Ace does encourages all of the guys to explore. He doesn't feel like everybody is doing that, and I'm like, well, Ace, you're not even really doing that. For you to tell everybody else to do that, like, are you actually going out and exploring? Are you getting to know Olandria after you learned that she kissed you? Did you at least sit down with her to try and figure out like if there is something there? No, you didn't. All right. But it seems like you have your eyes set on Huda. And I don't know how that's going to play out, but I wouldn't be surprised if Huda and him ended up getting together just for a little bit, especially after Jeremiah learns this news. But let's keep going, all right? Ace feels like Huda is not open to getting to know other people because of Jeremiah. And I just feel like, well, that's not solely on Huda. That's also on, I'm sorry, not solely on Jeremiah, but that's on Huda. Because Huda doesn't seem to want to get to know y'all like that either because those two are stuck on each other, right? That's what it seems like. So you guys let me know your thoughts. On top of that, I think Huda is trying to respect the connection that Chelley has with Ace, and that may also be a reason as to why she's not trying to really get to know him for real, for real. But it is a bit weird that she's showing this automatic loyalty to Jeremiah. It's like, girl, cool it down, right? So then Jeremiah, he's a bit confused when he hears this, and he's like, why is that an issue? Like, if we're stuck on each other, what's wrong with that? And Ace just pretty much uses the excuse of how the women may feel. Women coming into the villa may feel a way that you're kind of so closed off and you're not open to getting to know everybody else. But my thing is, although I know you may want that for your friends to get to know everybody, your new friends, at the same time, each person's experience is their own as well. So it's a hidden thing behind it. I don't think Ace is being genuine when he talks to Jeremiah. I think it's really him wanting to see what Huda is talking about. He like, back up a little bit. Let me see what she's talking about, right? And Jeremiah is gonna snap on Ace at some point because I think he's getting sick of his stuff. I think Ace is very much so testing Jeremiah, especially throughout this episode, and it actually started in the other episode, okay? Episode 2, right? So I don't want Ace to annoy me as he is, projecting onto these guys more so to Jeremiah because you're not the captain of the boys. You're not the captain of the boys team. Like, pipe down, chill out. So Austin says that he thought Chelley was going to stand up for him. And once he saw that, or at least not stand up for him, but stand up with him, once he saw that Chelley sat down and did not get up, he wished that he would have sat down too. And I'm like, can you just stop, Austin? No, you didn't. You literally used her knee as support as you stood your big ass up for you to go on up there and stand near Sierra as if she really was going to choose you. But nobody should be surprised, right? Because I told you guys that was going to happen. Exactly. So I'm not even trying to deal or put up with him, okay? Now, let's get to Huda real quick because Huda is in tears, all right? Because she was embarrassed, right? She was embarrassed that Olandria pretty much clocked her in front of everybody. She's like, this is something that you do in private. Well, what you did was in public, so Olandria checked it in the moment. Right? I understand her trying to be like a girl's girl, trying to support her girls and clown the guys, but it's easier for you to say that when you're sitting with a guy that did not stand up and go and choose to be with somebody else. So I kind of got why Olandria may have been a little irritated because she's like, girl, we're going to have this conversation in private. We don't need to have this conversation in front of them. Now, while Olandria is talking to Bella, Bella told her as they're watching Huda cry, she's like, well, I think she may have took it as though you were trying to tell her she was doing too much. And she's like, oh, wait. I hope that's not the case. I wasn't trying to say that she was doing too much. The first person to cry in the villa is because of me, and I just want to go and have a conversation with her to let her know, like, no, I thought we were going to have our own private conversation, which is interesting because that is what Huda was expecting, to have a private conversation and be checked privately. I guess, girl. Okay. So they ended up linking up, chatting it out. Olandria approached Huda for a conversation. They talked it out, figured out what was right, what was wrong, whatever the case is. The ladies have moved on. And I like the fact that they were able to talk that out and move forward. Okay. So shout out to them. So all of the hate that Olandria was getting online, y'all can pipe down. Okay. Because we see that you guys are centering your queen, Huda. All right. And y'all are going to piss me off just a little bit with how you're operating because you're trying to do the same thing with Huda that you guys did with Leah last season. So let's not. We know you guys love y'all a good foreign queen or whatever, but like, chill out. So Ace pulls Chelley before a late night chat. They chit chat. They both were kind of caught off guard by the fact that Austin stood up, but at the same time, Ace was kind of like, cool, like, that's great. Now you showing her what it is. So I got the opportunity to kind of slide on in there. So Ace kind of gave, Austin gave Ace exactly what he wanted. So while they're sitting over there in the speakeasy talking or wherever they were, he asked her to smell something, smell his arm or smell something. And she literally linked in to smell it. And I'm like, wait, that was like, why would you even do that? And he kissed her on the forehead. Right? So it was such a weird, unexpected thing that she just bust out laughing. And I kind of would have laughed too, but she really was slick pissed off because it's like, if you wanted to kiss me on my forehead, that's all you had to say. Like, hey, come here. Or you could have grabbed her face or did something, kissed her forehead. Like, there could have been some type of chemistry, feely, touchy thing that could have happened. Like, it didn't have to be real awkward, like smell that and plant the forehead. I feel like that's a play that he's done with other women. And they laugh about it, so I think he thought it was a cool thing for him to do. And I mean, he got a reaction out of her, kind of like what he wanted, which was for her to laugh about it and whatever the case. So moving on. Ace, I do feel the next morning when they got up, he got into his gentleman bag just a bit because he actually made breakfast for all of the ladies that pretty much got played the night before, right? He made something for Chelley, Olandria, as well as Bella. And all of their guys stood up and stood to the front of Miss Sierra hoping to get picked. So I thought that was nice of Ace to do. He got some nice things about him. So I see you, Ace. But anywho, Nick and Sierra are really vibing. They clicked like this. They're clicking very well. I'm here for the two. I love to see them in the photo booth taking pictures and enjoying themselves. I'm like, that is like, y'all kind of cute. Y'all kind of cute. Meanwhile, you got Bella over here in tears, but she says that she's not necessarily crying over Nick. She's crying over the experience. And when she reflects on life and stuff, she feels like nobody knows her worth or her value. She's always like a second pick. And I think it took her back down the lane of being broken up with by that ex-boyfriend of hers. So she's in her feelings a little bit. And I did like the fact that Huda was able to go over there, have a conversation with her, and just support her in that moment. Of course, Bella was blindsided because Nick didn't tell her anything about being interested in Sierra, and she wished she just would have had a little bit of an inkling instead of being embarrassed in front of everybody. But if you've seen the show before, you already know how this goes. But like I said, I love that Huda sat down with her and really encouraged her, supported her in that moment. And I'm like, Huda, why you telling her this? You need to take your own advice as you walk on over there and tell Jeremiah about the secret that you're holding back from him. Hello? Okay, thank you. Now, Charlie talks with Bella. I feel like the more we get to know Charlie, the more Charlie shows us a bit of his personality. Charlie doesn't look bad on the eyes, I will say. Charlie does not look bad on the eyes. And I can see Charlie and Bella connecting. Definitely. If they don't bring in another bombshell, what I see is Charlie and Bella connecting, and I do see Austin going home. Unless they bring somebody else in to save Austin, because there are more guys than girls, I can see the girls making the pick and a play for who they want to be with. I can see them getting rid of Austin and he's the first guy to be kicked off the island. Or they may leave him vulnerable for another night, bring in some bombshells, and then see how that's going to play out, right? And then if that's the case, they may give the guys the opportunity to pick, the next night and then go from there. So we'll have to see. Austin is a bit awkward. His personality has not grown on me at all. And at this point, I don't want him to have to waste his time or overstay his welcome. Okay, so we can go ahead and ship him out and then send in 2 more people. But that's just my personal. And that is really aside from the reposted things that he had over there on TikTok. Okay, that's that. Now, let's keep going. Let's talk about Charlie. Getting back to Charlie. like I said, he and Bella are, I could see them as a couple. But when he sat up there and told Bella, like, oh, I was thinking about bringing you to the hideaway, but I didn't know if you would be down for that, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, boy, stop it. Stop it. You were not thinking about bringing her to no hideaway and acting as though you're being respectful, like you planted the kiss on her cheek. Yes. I feel like if you didn't bring her, and if that's probably your type, why wouldn't you just take Yulissa? Maybe he didn't want to take Yulissa because, once again, he was already probably seeing how us fans were reacting to Yulissa. So what did he do? He decided to go to Chelley, because I personally feel like he knows that Chelley was a fan favorite. And it also kind of made me question if you thought Chelley was going to put out just a little bit. But okay, like, you could have invited Bella to the hideout, and because Bella doesn't know you, just like any other girl wouldn't, it's not like they're gonna jump into bed with you. So I feel like Charlie was lying. I think that Charlie is doing and saying what he needs to do to stay on the show, and the moment another woman comes in that is his type, he will be playing Bella to the left for sure. I thoroughly believe that. But you weren't trying to, like, you could have invited her to the hideaway and you guys just talked all night. You know what I'm saying? So makes me question the real reason you brought my girl back, aside from her being the fan favorite. But anywho, let's keep going. So Taylor has been pulling Olandria a lot for him to have a chat with. Okay, I think that Taylor may be liking him some Olandria. I do, but the way he stood up for somebody else, I see him standing up yet again for someone else that may come into the villa. Now, of course, she does apologize to him because she kind of felt the way that he stood up, but then he had to call her out and tell her, like, well, wait, I find it funny that you want to feel away because I stood up, but I wasn't upset with you when you kissed somebody else. So how can you be upset with me? And I think because of that, it allowed her to sit back, reflect, and at a later time, she pretty much tells him, like, you were right. I got to rethink how I'm playing this situation here. I can't be mad. I can't do something, and then when you go do it, I get upset with you. So it's cool. They got a little bit of an understanding. Now, Nick does finally pull Bella for that chat that she's been waiting on, because he's been avoiding her this whole time. And you could tell he was so nervous to have a conversation with her. But Bella did tell him that he made her look like a fool that night. And she just wished that if he was leaning more towards Sierra, that he would have told her that, so it wouldn't be a surprise to her once they got to the fire pit. Now, she also lets him know that she is the cutoff queen. Okay, I don't believe her. What do you mean cutoff queen? See, Bella, there are things that you say that sounds a bit contradictory to me, and you're only 22 years old. You're talking as though you have a history of dating a lot of people, potentially. So are you lying about your age, or are you lying about your relationships or something? I don't know if anybody else caught it, but she just didn't sound right a bit. You're the cutoff queen, but then you also said that your last boyfriend cut you off, and then you were just sitting up there crying about people not knowing your worth. Something about Bella is a bit contradictory, in my opinion. Then she also talks about how she's been done so wrong. She's been done wrong so much in her life by people that she's dated or something like that in her past relationships. And I'm like, but you're only 22 and you said you only had one relationship. So what is really going on here? I am glad that you stood up for yourself, as you said in the confessional, but girl, my goodness, like, I am side eyeing you just a bit. How much of a Christian are you really? I think Bella over here lying about some stuff. Girl, Bella, you're going to make the people start digging in the archives on you. So I hope they don't pull out nothing. But anyway, Chelley and Ace are talking, and of course they chatted up, and she lets him know that she's feeling him. The feeling is obviously mutual. Can we go ahead and get this coupling or recoupling started so that these two can actually be together, and she doesn't have to have Austin waste her time, or she waste her time with him anymore? Please and thank you. All right. Bella still wants Nick. That's what she tells Sierra. She asks Sierra if she's interested in anybody else. Sierra said, absolutely not. I'm interested in Nick. There's absolutely no one else in here that compares to him. And if you think that you're going to get my man, girl, that's dead. I took him from you, and I'm going to keep him from you. That's what that was given. And I was like, yikes, honey. Now, Ace asked Jeremiah what he likes as far as women. Like, what kind of women you like? You like foreign women? And obviously, that is what Jeremiah likes, right? And he says the only way for him to turn his head away from Huda at this time is if another foreign woman comes in and looks just as good as her. Whew, child, listen, I'm going to tell y'all right out the gate. When a guy says, like, he likes foreign women, I think he should automatically get the side eye. I feel like that is a person that fetishizes foreign girls, or quote unquote foreign women. Like, it's something about it that's super awkward and weird, and it it just makes me feel like he's with you based on the desire that other guys will have of you, not so much as that he genuinely likes and cares about you. So there's something about Jeremiah, and I started to go back on my word and say, okay, him and Huda are rubbing off on me, but no, they're not anymore. When I said he was given a little bit of Kindle, I think he is. And I feel like Ace peeped that out. Ace is calling that out. But Ace, you're acting a little bit like Kendall too. And we'll get into that. But I'm definitely side eyeing this guy. However, Ace, why are you so pressed and worried about Jeremiah and Huda? It's really given to me that you desire Huda, but you also can't take the fakeness that's coming off Jeremiah. I feel like you see it, you feel it, you want to expose it, and I think that is also grinding Ace's gears. Now, Huda and Chelley do have a conversation, and Huda has not told Jeremiah about her daughter yet, and she needs the same encouragement from Chelley that she gave over to Bella. And that is exactly what Chelley does. She pours into her. She says, girl, listen, if somebody doesn't want to rock with you because you're a mom, then F them. Okay, you're a great person, you're a great mom. And Huda's like, yeah, and it's something that I'm very proud of, you know. I just want to make sure that he has a mature mindset. I want his mindset to be mature enough to handle this. And I'm like, well, you should have really said that the first night. We'll take it on the third night, fine. But I feel like you should have said this earlier on to really know for sure what that mindset is giving and whether he can handle it. But that's okay. You allowed yourself a little time to get to know him. So now is the time to go ahead and let him know this information. And she plans on doing just that. All right. She plans on letting him know that. But like I said, I love how Chelley was encouraging her, hyping her up, and all of that. All right. Now, before she gets to the moment where she tells him everything, they do play a game, and it's a few things that they got into. One of them was, they had questions and they had to like rate, put it in order of who had the highest, the least, or whatever. One of it was who cheated the most. Austin is the person that cheated the most, and he's cheated 6 times. You know, I feel like Austin may have lied to the producers about some things because he just does not give the swagged out personality that I'm thinking for him to have sent hundreds or sent thousands of nudes to people, had sex with multiple people, 4 in one day, and all this and that. Like, Austin is just not, I feel like lies were told. Just like Ace sat up there and lied about him telling a woman that he loved her. Like, he said, well, I've never been in love. And they're like, wait a minute, we know you've never been in a relationship and in love, but don't act like you've never told a woman that you loved them. And he just bust out laughing, and they're like, okay, so you lied. And it's like, yeah, just like I feel like Austin is lying to you guys now to stroke his own ego. But that's my personal. Maybe if we saw Austin with a different woman that's more his type, maybe we would see a more vibrant Austin. But I'm not really it's not giving that for me. However, let's keep going. So when it gets to we talked about that, the most news when it comes to who had sex with the most people in one day, it would be Austin. And then Chelley and Huda, I think they both had sex with 2 people in one day. Huda said, hey, I feel like the first guy didn't satisfy me, so I went and got another. Period. Okay. And Chelley was just enjoying herself. She had one girl in the morning, one girl in the evenings. It was what it was. No big deal. All in all, the guys ended up winning that game. Okay. And you know what also was interesting was learning that Charlie's never been in a relationship before. Ace has never been in a relationship before. I'm questioning whether Austin has been in a relationship before. And I'm like, why are we picking all these guys that's never been in a relationship before? But I get it. It's the toxicity. It's for the show. It's for entertainment, because typically those guys are going to be F-boys. Okay. Let's see. Huda says that she was not surprised once the ladies all huddled together to talk about the games. Someone asked Huda, how did she feel about Jeremiah letting 10 women know that he loved them? And she's like, well, I'm not really surprised based on how he moves with me. You guys know that I feel like he's been love bombing me. And honestly, some of that is a bit of a red flag. And I'm wondering if how he has shown up with me is how he has also shown up with those other women. I'm pretty sure. Jeremiah pretty much said that he gets pretty possessive earlier on. So that's possible. At least that's what I think. So they're talking about that, and she's saying that it's a red flag and she's a bit concerned. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, maybe you two shouldn't do this, because you're both walking red flags. Because although he's telling a lot of women that he may have loved them when he was in relationships with them or whatever, and you feel like he's love bombing you, well, you also told the man that you loved him. You just naturally let it roll off your tongue. You're also laying your head on him, acting like he's familiar and stuff. So you guys are both giving off a bit of a red flag to me. Okay, so that's that. Now, Ace does ask Jeremiah, like you heard what Huda said, she had sex with 2 guys in one day. So how are you feeling about that? And Jeremiah's like, I'm not pressed. She had the same number that I had. He was like, yeah, but she said the first guy didn't do it right. So what if that was you? He was like, I'm not worried about that because, like I always make sure my girls finish. He's like, yeah, but what if you think that you're doing good and she tells you that you're doing good, like she told that guy, but the whole time you weren't that great? Like, how do you feel about that? And Jeremiah's like, what a dumbass question. Like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it's not really a dumb question because I would like to know how would you feel, right? But if you're so committed to making sure that your girls get what it is that they need, then maybe it is a bit dumb. And Ace, you're doing too much and you're being extremely messy and we need you to back up just a little bit, okay? So that's that. And again, Ace is trying to see a different side of Jeremiah. You would think Ace is trying to date Jeremiah because he's trying to pull something out of him. Like, okay, like it's something off about you. You're acting weird. You're odd. I can't trust you. It's something about it. Like, ugh. Right? So we shall see how that's going to play out. Now, Ace does talk with Taylor about Jeremiah and Huda. Ace thinks Jeremiah is telling everyone he loves them because it's on brand. Like that's who he is. And he feels like he is indeed love bombing Huda, which is interesting because Huda has also said the same thing. Now, this is what I wish. I wish that on Peacock, they gave us the behind the scenes footage, kind of like with Big Brother, where they let the cameras just roll. I wish they would have did that because when it was on CBS Paramount, they would show that because maybe Huda and Ace are having conversations, but we're just not seeing it, right? Anywho, they both feel like Jeremiah is love bombing Huda, right? So Taylor is pretty much just going along with everything. He's like, yo, I feel like if you ask him now if he loves her, he gonna say yeah. So yeah, I can't disagree with you. Like, you're right. And I think Ace is right. Ace is not wrong, in my opinion. But Ace thinks that Jeremiah is playing it safe. And with him playing it so safe, he doesn't feel like he's being real. He thinks the guy's very much so fake. And I'm like, maybe that is what it is that I'm getting from him, like Kendall. Kendall was definitely fake, in my opinion. However, the way you keep prying into their situation, you're kind of giving Kendall when it came down to him trying to bring a wedge in between Serena and Cordell. So it's just weird. Anywho, so Huda finally sits down and has this conversation with Jeremiah to let him know about her daughter. First, she asked him about like deal breakers and stuff and what he's looking for. And he wants somebody that's family oriented. He wants somebody that has a long list of friends, I guess, or like friendships. Like he would like to see that they've had long lasting friendships because that will let him know that based on your friendships that you have healthy communication. That is not always true, but okay, Jeremiah. She also goes on to talk about how she wants to get to know him on a deeper level. And it really took her all night to get the words out finally that she is a mother. And once she finally lets him know that she's a mother, first of all, I think he was on pins and needles thinking that she was going to tell him that she's interested in Ace or she was going to leave him or she kissed Ace or something like that. He was like so stressed out. So he threw his head back as if, oh, I could take you being a mom, but I thought that you was going to, want to be with Ace. And then it seems like he was, when she got ready to talk, he had his head in his hands and stuff. And it seems like he was the one that was more emotional. And I'm like, why are you more emotional when she's the one that's a mom and it was a struggle for her? It was weird. But then also it made me feel like this perfect patty couple that he meshed up together in his head is not that. And I think also it goes back to my thought of what I said about men that really want to be that fetishized you type of women, not so much as because he's interested in you, but more so based on the optics of other guys. It makes me feel like he could potentially start acting different with her based on how other guys may perceive it that she is a mom on this show. I'm hoping he does not let us down come, tonight's episode, but I just don't know. And should he fumble because he's worried about what the other guys are thinking, it's going to leave space and room for either Ace to slide in or somebody else to slide in on her. So, good luck. I also can see the fact that he may act like he's okay with it in an effort to continue to keep her from those other guys. And as soon as a bombshell comes in, that's foreign and just what he likes, he will for sure leave Huda right where she's standing. At this point, I agree with Ace. I feel like Jeremiah is not to be trusted. And if he were to stay click tight with her, it would be for the optics of the show. And maybe he could grow to love her by the end of all of this, but who knows? I don't. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. That's all that I have for you guys at this time. Of course, I'm Jamie, that's me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Telling my priest to the choir, stand with my feet to the fire, give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like agents. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I can face the rim, putting shots up. I got laser focus, about to take it over, I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film, I can feel it.